Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 6, 2021 work session of the Portsmouth Planning Commission. Mr. Baldwin?
You should sit up there. We'll just put Regina up there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon and welcome. Good to see everybody in person for the first time, to see at least part of our group here today. This obviously is going to be a little bit different than our normal work sessions, which we typically would have held out in the conference room out there in the lobby out there. But we'll go ahead and proceed inside the council chamber, following a similar pattern that City Council has adopted under our reopening procedures. We have a few public hearing items you'll be getting during your regular meeting, and as we used to do prior to being virtual, we used to do staff presentations to the planning commissioners during work sessions, an opportunity for planning commissioners to ask any questions they might have of staff, any clarification they might want from the staff report, anything like that. So if we are ready, we can go ahead and get started. Have our first presentation. I think Stacy is our first presenter with Z2103.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hi, it's been so long. Nice to see everybody in person, not just on the screen. Oh, I think I'm pressing the wrong thing. I think I pressed the wrong thing. All right, are we recording, Bob? Because I can mention my name. Okay, yes. Again, good afternoon, and I'm Stacy Porter, and I'm one of the senior planners in the planning department. And I'll go ahead and give an overview of the applicant's rezoning request. And this is for Airline Boulevard Corridor. Warren L. Holland Jr., he requests the rezoning of 2608 Airline Boulevard from general mixed use, GMU, to light industrial, and the rezoning of 200 Cherokee Road from multifamily urban residential URM to light industrial. Okay. All right, and I'll just call your attention to the slides, and I'll just go ahead and go through the presentation. All right. First, we do have the 200 Cherokee Road multifamily urban residential, and it is vacant. That is the parcel that is in the photo to the top. 2608 Airline Boulevard, general mixed use is the zoning, and as you'll see from the photo, there is a church, a surface parking lot, as well as a cemetery on the property. Only small portions of both of these parcels are proposed to be rezoned to the light industrial zoning to be incorporated into the applicant's adjacent parcel to the immediate east. And the east is just over to the right-hand side of those parcels. Now I'll go ahead and show you the surrounding area, land uses, and the zoning. Okay. All right, to the immediate north and east is the Airline self-storage facility, and this is the facility owned by the applicant himself, and they do business as Wonderland Storage LLC. All right, and that is zone IL. To the south are a mixture of commercial businesses. They are also zoned IL. To the west is a commercial strip shopping center, zone general mixed use, and single-family residential development at the dead end of Cherokee Road, and those are zoned multifamily urban residential. And I wanted to offer you a picture of the applicant's adjacent property at that Airline self-storage. This is the existing gate, and this is the photo to the left on the slide. The existing gate and fence that is present on the property. The fence is located along the majority of the western property boundary, and that is the photo there to the right. By acquiring the adjacent property, the applicant would be provided sufficient space to develop a new aluminum security fence and an electronic keypad security gate. Might be a little hard to see. This was included in your staff report packets. So I'll go ahead and describe what's going on. All right, let's see if I can get this going. Yeah, this little laser pointer. Okay, so we have this white line here. That is the actual location of the existing fence to be removed. Almost all of it will be removed. The red line here, it's kind of a little hard to see, but that generally is the new property boundary. The survey was included in your staff report. So again, white line existing fence. The red line shows the property to be acquired. Very, very small portions of both of those parcels there. Other site improvements, they're going to restripe the front office parking area to include 4 standard parking spaces and 1 handicap space. This forest green area here, they're proposing to pave this for parking, but this is a part of our Chesapeake Bay Resource Protection Area, and we will be working with them under another application. The proposal will require a minor subdivision to legally combine small portions of 2608 Airline Boulevard and 200 Cherokee Road into the applicant's property at 2604 Airline Boulevard. Staff does not anticipate any impacts to the adjacent properties as a result of approving the applicant's rezoning. Should the rezoning be approved, the final permit would preclude the addition of any barbed wire or the installation of electrical fencing, which is prohibited by city code. Staff finds that the proposed rezoning complies with the zoning ordinance requirements and is in conformance with the recommendation of the comprehensive plan for light industrial development at 2604 Airline Boulevard, and therefore we do recommend the approval of the applicant's request. And that concludes the presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Ms. Porter? Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Planning Commissioners. Good to see you all. This is Julie Chopp, Senior Planner with the City of Portsmouth. The use permit application today before you involves the property at 2305 Nashville Avenue and 2321 and 2323 Jefferson Street. Valencia Kelly is requesting a use permit for a 6-unit, 3-story townhouse development. The 0.36 acre property is in the urban residential zoning district in the Brighton Prentice Park area of the city. The site was recently demolished of all structures to make way for future development. North of the subject property across Jefferson Street are single-family dwellings zoned urban residential. East of the proposed site are residential and commercial parcels zoned urban residential and general mixed use. Directly south of the property is a single-family residential dwelling that is zoned UR, and west of the property is the dead end of Nashville Avenue, and across Nashville Avenue are additional single-family dwellings that are zoned UR. Shown here is the conceptual site plan for the proposed development. The 6-unit townhouse residential building is proposed to front on Nashville Avenue. The townhouse building footprint area is 3,984 square feet with a building height of approximately 36 feet above ground level. Each of the 6 units will be approximately 1,600 square feet in size, and the applicant must submit a minor subdivision plat to create the individual townhouse lots. Floor plans and elevations of all sides of the proposed townhouse development were submitted with this application, and substantial conformity will be conditioned as part of the use permit approval. The units will include a front porch, a rear deck, a front-loaded one-car garage, and a private driveway, respectively. This slide shows the front and rear elevations. This slide shows the side elevations of the proposed townhouse development. Staff recommends approval of the use permit request with the recommended conditions for an up to 6-unit townhouse dwelling development at 2305 Nashville, 2321 Jefferson, and 2323 Jefferson Street. The proposed townhouse development will provide needed housing and is consistent with the recommendations of the city's Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan. This concludes my presentation, and I will now stand by for any questions.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Ms. Kapp? Thank you.
Yes, I do have a question. What type of response have you had from the local neighbors concerning this this particular application?
Thank you. As far as I know, the city has not received any comments from the neighbors regarding the proposed development. Okay, thank you.
All right. Again, good afternoon. Stacy Porter, one of the senior planners, and I'll go ahead and give an overview of this use permit request for Cross Creek Apartments. Community Housing Partners Corporation requests a use permit at 2519 and 2521 Bird Lane to develop 71 apartment units and a leasing office on the combined properties. The property at 2519 Bird Lane is zone multifamily, urban residential, and it is vacant. In fact, where this sign, this orange sign is sitting, that is the actual property. It is vacant, it is forested, and largely non-tidal wetlands. The property at 2521 Bird Lane is actually in the background, zoned also multifamily urban residential, and it contains the existing 41 apartment units within 6 two-story buildings, as well as a children's playground, all of which will be demolished for the proposal. Both parcels are a part of the Cross Creek Apartments. No other work is proposed at this time beyond these 2 subject parcels. I'll now provide the surrounding area land uses and zoning. The area surrounding the Cross Creek Apartment complex is generally zoned multifamily urban residential. Here we have to the north the Newport Landing Apartments, formerly the Bayview Apartments. They are on Victory Boulevard. To the north and northwest are the remaining portions of the Cross Creek Apartment complex. To the east, off of George Washington Highway, are the Independence Square Apartments. And to the west are some single-family homes that are under construction, as well as the city of Chesapeake. I'll briefly review the submitted site plan, which was included in your staff report packets. The site plan shows the existing 6 buildings and playground, which would be demolished on 2521 Bird Lane, will be developed with 3 3-story apartment buildings that will house 71 apartments and a leasing office. The site plan also provides the location of the dumpster area, and I'll just go ahead and highlight that here, as well as the new playground, and I want to make sure I'm getting it right. I'm trying to see. I'm so sorry. It's hard for me to see where the playground is. It is on your site plan, though, included in your packets. A portion of the adjacent 2519 Bird Lane, which I did mention was largely forested and also non-tidal wetlands, would be utilized for the development. This property would require a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. The development would provide 157 vehicle spaces. All site development, including parking, will be reviewed under our site plan review process. Both properties would be combined using our minor subdivision process. And these are the submitted building elevations. The newly developed apartment buildings will be constructed of red brick masonry, hardy shingle siding, vinyl windows, and an asphalt shingle roof. Each building will be constructed with breezeways containing the stairwells to access each floor. Apartment units will be provided either a porch or a balcony with pipe and tube aluminum railings. Staff finds that the proposal complies with our Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan's recommendation for multifamily development for the parcel. The applicant's proposal to demolish older apartments and replace them with more modern buildings is supported by the plan's goals to modernize existing housing stock. With the listed conditions, staff finds that the proposal meets the requirements set forth in the zoning ordinance and therefore recommends the approval of the applicant's use permit request. And that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Commissioners, are there any questions for Ms. Porter? Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that does conclude our work session presentations on your public hearing items. I wouldn't want to make a note under new business. You will have an item on your agenda regarding the adoption of a resolution ratifying minutes of the meetings that were held electronically. That resolution has been provided to you, I believe, with your Planning Commission agenda materials. That's a requirement just to ratify the fact that those meetings that were held from, I believe, June of last year through, I think was it June? August of last year through June of this year. You have to ratify those minutes in accordance with the emergency processes established by City Council. Pretty straightforward. But the City Attorney's Office has advised us that all of our boards and commissions must take similar action.
Commissioners, do you have any questions about the resolution or questions for Mr. Baldwin? Okay. Thank you, sir. I think when we get to that point, do we need to read the resolution for the record?
Yes, Regina is going to read the resolution
Right.
of the record.
We will have her read the resolution for
Yes.
the record, and
Yes.
then we will take a vote on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else, Mr. Baldwin?
No, sir, that concludes our work session.
Okay, I want to thank you all for today's work session. Commissioners, we will start at promptly at 1:30. If you will be seated at that time, we'll get started. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to this very important meeting today, Tuesday, July 6, 2021, being held in the City Council chambers. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I will now confirm that all members of the Planning Commission are present by calling the roll. Commissioners, when I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Youngblood, Commissioner Thaxton,
Present.
Commissioner G, Commissioner Coleman, Commissioner Page,
Present.
Commissioner Barnes.
Present.
5 members of the Planning Commission are present.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Commissioners, before you are the minutes of the June 1st, 2021 public hearing. If there aren't any changes, we are in need of a motion to approve the minutes. And a second. Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion. No, we need a motion.
We need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for the acceptance of the meeting, of the minutes of the previous meeting.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion and a second to approve the minutes from the June the 1st, 2021 public hearing. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
Commissioner Page?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
This item is approved 5-0. Announcements of future meetings and conferences. Please note that our next scheduled work session is Tuesday, August the 3rd, 2021 at 12:30 p.m., 6th floor conference room, followed by public hearing at 1:30 p.m., City Council chamber. Items reviewed today will be presented to City Council for action at their August the 10th, 2021 public hearing or as otherwise noted. Planning Commission rules limit a speaker up to 5 minutes to speak. We also ask that everyone please silence your cell phones at this time if you have not already done so. Our first public hearing item, Z-21-03, Airline Boulevard Commercial Corridor. Warren L. Holland, Jr., manager of Wonderland Self-Storage, LLC, requests the rezoning of 2608 Airline Boulevard from General Mixed Use, GMU, to Light Industrial, IL, and the rezoning of 200 Cherokee Road from Multifamily Urban Residential, URM, to Light Industrial, IL. Once rezoned, portions of both parcels will be incorporated into the applicant's property at 2604 Airline Boulevard to develop a new security fence for the self-storage facility. The properties to be rezoned are further identified as Tax Map 440, Parcel 2, and Tax Map 441, Parcel 21.1. The generalized future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates the property at 2608 Airline Boulevard as part of a mixed-use corridor and recommends low to medium density single-family residential development for 200 Cherokee Road. The staff coordinator is Stacy Porter. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a little handout. You guys have probably seen the plat itself, but the page behind it will just give you a little bit better view of what we're doing. The little hashed area that you see is basically the piece that's acquired from the church. And the white line is the existing chain link fence. The red line is the new fence line that we'll do for a security fence. So basically, we're just updating the look and feel of the security fence, making something that's a little bit more respectful for the cemetery than the chain link fence, and making something that's a little bit more secure for our customers. And I understand that somebody was here from the residents that said they were concerned that the property itself was getting rezoned. We don't intend that as the message to rezone the property. We're just talking about that one little area where the fence goes. So if you have any questions?
Sure. Commissioners, are there any questions? Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item Z-21-03. I do have 2 registered speakers. As I call your name, please come forward. You will have up to 5 minutes to speak. Our first speaker is Joe Crum. He just spoke? Okay, you can come forward, sir. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Yes, my name is Joe Crum. I live at 232 Cherokee Road, representing some of the residents on the street there because they work. And they asked me to speak for them today. I looked at Mr. Holland's graph there for what he wants to do with the fence line down on the other side of the cemetery. We have no problem with that. 2608 Airline Boulevard, that's between him and the church. But the end of Cherokee Road is designated for family, and we'd like for it to stay that way. That's 200, that's almost 50 yards from where his fence is. Why do you have to rezone that? No one's answered that question for me yet. That's all. Can anybody answer that question? We just don't feel like we need that to be industrial at that end of our neighborhood. We don't want anything down there. Once it's rezoned to industrial, then you can put anything down there that you want that's light industrial. A garage, anything. But we'd like for it to stay for family. If the church wants to redevelop it for family, that'd be great with us. We're happy to see new families on our, we're a dead-end street, by the way. So it dead ends at that end. We don't want anything at that end other than families. We've got a nice, quiet neighborhood. Does anybody have the answer why they're going to do the whole thing? I know he's just talking about a fence line, but once, that's 2608 Airline Boulevard, that's the church, that's what their business is. But we on that end of the street, we don't feel like that they need to do that whole section. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item Z-21-03. If there is someone here who did not get an opportunity to register and would like to address this application, you may come forward, state your name and your address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none. Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Commissioners, is there any further discussion? If there's none, the chair's in need. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for the applicant. What is the distance between the red line and the white line there? There's nothing, no room to build or add anything. You're just putting a fence in, correct? 15 feet?
Ask Mr. Warren to come back up to the podium. Mr. Warren, Mr. Holland.
Okay.
Mr. Holland, could you come back up to the microphone?
I think their concern is that the whole piece of property would be rezoned, and we don't intend to rezone the whole piece of property. The only reason we were doing this is because the city said we needed to rezone that little piece on this side of the fence so that it could be combined with the airline self-storage property. The rest of the property should stay the same.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, this is really that complicated. The only piece of property being rezoned is that strip. That's the reason you have that subdivision plat shown in your packet that shows you the area. At the time, of course, the application was submitted, we didn't have all of, we were working to get all of the documents together as far as what is involved in the rezoning. The applicant will be required, if this application is approved, to do a subdivision of property, basically following that line. That property will have the new zoning if it's approved. The rest of the property will remain as it's currently zoned.
Okay.
So we're only affecting that strip
Okay.
with this proposed action here.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Holland.
Okay.
Commissioners, the chair is in need of a motion and a second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Z-21-03.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, we have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion and a second to approve Z-21-03. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Page,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes.
No.
This item is approved 4-1. The next item, UP-21-10 Brighton, Valencia Kelly of Wynn Property Management requests a use permit for a 6-unit townhouse dwelling on approximately 0.36 acres of land located at 2305 Nashville Avenue, 2321 Jefferson Street, and 2323 Jefferson Street in the Urban Residential UR zoning district. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this area as single-family residential high density. The properties are owned by Wynn Property Management and are identified as tax map 139, parcel 83, parcel 85, and parcel 84. The staff coordinator is Julie Chop. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Good evening. My name is Edward Kelly, and I'm one of the representatives of Wynn Property Management. Our intent is, well, as you said, is to develop 6 single-family homes. 6 single-family homes. Can't see with these glasses on. 6 single-family homes for this area. There were concerns initially concerning the widening of the street and extension of the sewer and water, but those are already taken care of because water and sewers to the end of Nashville is already there. The sewer line is there. The water line is there. Just hope this to be approved today.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of Mr. Kelly? Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item UP-21-10. I have no registered speakers. If there is someone here who did not get an opportunity to register and would like to address this application, you may come forward, state your name and your address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Commissioners, we are now in need of a motion and a second for UP-21-10 with conditions.
Mr. Commissioner, I make a motion to accept UP 21-10 with conditions.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion and a second to approve UP-21-10. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
Commissioner Page?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
This item is approved 5-0 with conditions. Our next item, UP-21-11, Cross Creek Apartments. Community Housing Partners Corporation requests a use permit at 2519 and 2521 Bird Lane to develop 71 apartment units and a leasing office on the combined properties. The parcel at 2519 Bird Lane contains 24 apartment units, of which would be demolished. The combined properties are approximately 7.04 acres in size and will be developed at a density of 10 dwelling units per acre. The properties are further described as Tax Map 454, parcels 2 and 5. The generalized future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan recommends multifamily residential development for the properties. Staff Coordinator Stacy Porter. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Rob Beeman. I'm a local land use attorney with the Troutman Pepper Law Firm here today on behalf of the applicant, Community Housing Partners, or CHP. Joining me this afternoon is Mr. Mark Huffman from CHP and Dan Ruby from the Timmons Group, who's our project engineer on this site. This application involves a conditional use permit for a multifamily, a partial redevelopment of the existing Cross Creek apartment building, which is originally constructed back in 1969 and has been owned and operated by CHP since the late 1990s. CHP is a 501c3 nonprofit based here in Virginia, whose mission is to develop, own, and manage quality, affordable housing. And not only do they provide housing for folks, but they provide all their tenants with a range of services that include after-school and summer youth programs, computer access and literacy training, health screenings, fitness programs, nutrition classes, and financial education workshops. Given the age of the development, now over 50 years old, CHP proposes to redevelop the southern portion of the site with 71 new units contained in 3 new multifamily buildings. The new buildings would be very attractive with high-quality building materials, including brick and fiber cement. It would also contain modern features and amenities. CHP would construct, own, and manage these units, and we're not proposing any sort of change in ownership or operation. In terms of public outreach, back in May, CHP sent letters to each of the single-family property owners located to the west of the site along Deep Creek Boulevard, and those letters contained information about the project, contact information where folks could contact us for additional information, and also invited those folks to a Zoom meeting that we held in early June. We've received feedback from several residents, which has all been supportive, and at this point we're not aware of public opposition. In summary, the project would not change the use or the ownership on the property, but would just replace older units with nicer, updated, more attractive units. CHP has been a member of the Portsmouth community for about 20 years or so and looks forward to continuing to serve the residents of Portsmouth moving forward. Certainly appreciate your time and consideration of this application. We'll stand by for questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, are there any questions of Mr. Beeman?
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly how much would the properties range from?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Exactly how, like, the price range would be for these apartments?
For the apartments, we're still finalizing the rents, but there are 2 and 3 bedroom. The 2-bedroom, I believe, will average or anticipate to average about $850, and the 3-bedroom around $950 is the current plan. Yes, sir.
Commissioners, are there any additional questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item UP-21-11. I have one registered speaker. Would Mr. Mark Yadali-Yatrosky please come forward? You have up to 5 minutes to speak, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and other neighbors. I was very interested in the previous speaker's remarks. He added information that was not contained in the package. There was an intimation that the existing structures were for provision of affordable housing, but I did not see it explicitly stated. I'm happy to know that the applicant's intentions are to update what already exists. Affordable housing is always a rationed resource in our society. So it's good to know that there will be no less than there is now. My concern relates to the fact that the proposal involves demolition of existing units. That means there will be a lag between the time that everybody has to vacate and the time that the ribbon is cut on the new structures. I did not see anything in the proposal as published in your announcement that addresses what the current occupants will do, whether any thought was given to doing the demolition in a phased approach so that new units could be built first on part of the property. People could be relocated if they were interested in continuing the relationship with the applicant, and then the older units could be demolished. Typically what happens is it's an all at once in terms of the demolition, resulting in displacement for some period of time. I'm guessing 2 to 3 years before anybody who might be interested in continuing to reside there would be able to do so. One of the problems for people with constrained means is that their patterns of work and housing would be disrupted for this period of time, and for some of them that means a permanent displacement and permanent disruption. My interest is in seeing that such disruptions are minimized, and that the planning for this changeover would occur in such a way to do that. I am supportive of the concept if it can be done with a minimum impact to current residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item UP-21-11. If there is someone here who did not get an opportunity to register and would like to address this application, you may come forward, state your name and your address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, is there any further discussion? If not, we're in need of a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair, is it possible that the applicant could please respond to his question?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's a very good question. CHP does have a formal relocation program where we actually, I think they pay for the relocation of these residents and place them at other similar complexes. And then once the units have been constructed, they invite those folks back to the property. So they do have a program to assist with the relocation on a temporary basis. Yes, sir.
Does that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after they come back, how many available units will you have open?
There are currently 24 on the property. They'll have 71 once they're constructed. So there's plenty. There's, I guess, close to 50 additional, 47, I believe. Yes, ma'am.
And what is the time frame again?
Construction time frame, maybe about a year. 1 to 2 years for construction. I guess some of that depends on site plan and so forth. Thank you very much.
Commissioners, are there any additional questions? There being none, the chair is in need of a motion and a second for UP-21-11 with conditions.
I'd like to make a motion to approve UP 21-11 with conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, we have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion and a second to approve UP-21-11. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
Commissioner Page?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
This item is approved 5-0 with conditions.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Commissioners, under new business, we have to adopt a resolution ratifying the minutes of the meetings of the Portsmouth Planning Commission held electronically pursuant to the emergency procedures established to ensure the continuity of local government during the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Secretary, would you read the resolution?
Yes, sir. A resolution ratifying the minutes of the meeting of the Portsmouth Planning Commission held electronically pursuant to the emergency procedures established by the City Council to ensure the continuity of local government during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas, due to the emergency conditions created by the COVID-19 pandemic, City Council adopted Ordinance 2020-21 as extended, modified, and terminated by subsequent City Council ordinances, the emergency ordinance. And whereas the emergency ordinance authorized boards and commissions to conduct meetings electronically without a quorum physically present between April 2020 and the end of June 2021, the electronic meetings. And whereas pursuant to City Council Ordinance 2021-42, adopted on June the 8th, 2021, the authorizations and procedures established by the emergency ordinance expired effective June the 30th, 2021. And whereas the emergency ordinance provides that upon returning to person-to-person meetings, each board or commission should publicly ratify all of the approved minutes of the electronic meetings. And whereas the purpose of ratifying the approved minutes is to confirm for the record the validity of the electronic meeting format adopted through the emergency ordinance and implemented by the applicable board or commission. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Portsmouth Planning Commission that for the purpose set forth in this resolution, it hereby ratifies the minutes of the following meetings: August the 18th, 2020, September the 1st, 2020, October 6th, 2020, November the 3rd, 2020, December the 1st, 2020, January the 5th, 2021, February the 2nd, 2021, March the 2nd, 2021, April the 6th, 2021, May the 4th, 2021, and June the 1st, 2021, adopted at a meeting held on July the 6th, 2021.
Commissioners, you've heard the reading of the resolution. The chair is now in need of a motion.
So move.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion and second. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood? Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
Commissioner Page?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
This resolution is adopted and approved by a vote of 5-0.
Commissioners, is there any further business we need to discuss today? Mr. Baldwin?
No, Mr. Chairman, we have no further business.
Well, finally, before we conclude our meeting today, Ms. Pettinger, would you come to the microphone, please?
You didn't see that.
Yes, sir.
Now, is our understanding that today is your birthday?
It unfortunately is,
And,
yes.
and we, as a commission, would like to wish you a very special birthday. We would sing, but we're not quite that good.
Thank you, sir. I
So we're going to
appreciate
leave it at wishing you a very happy birthday, and we hope you have many, many more.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I believe that concludes our agenda for today. Thank you.
Yes.